Okay, let's start with a call out of New York on WABC. Philip, what's on your mind tonight, Philip?
Dr. Savage, you've made my year. I am legally blind. My wife recently left last year. I have 2 teens. I'm an aspiring writer and comic, and I'm stuck in this state of depression. How do I get going? You're my uncle. My family is descended from Ukraine.
Wow, yeah, but you've got real problems. First of all I can say is I admire you. You're a hero. You're sticking with the kids and the wife left, and you're legally blind?
Yeah, my kids are my life. I have one in college.
Philip, without prying on a national show, what's up with her? What'd she do? She ran off with who?
With no one. I think I have retinitis pigmentosa. I was diagnosed when I was 13. I'm 46. We've been together for 16 years. And 3 years ago, it got so bad I had to retire from my job that I had. And I think I just became a burden to her, and she couldn't cope with it any longer.
So she said, I'm leaving you and the children?
Well, my older one is from my first marriage. My second one, my 16-year-old, is from our marriage. And she spends equal time with both of us.
Who's paying the bills?
I pay my own bills, and she actually pays me a little money per month towards health care insurance for my child.
I understand, but again, what did you do for a living before your eyes went?
I was in law enforcement.
Was it work-related?
No, unfortunately not. It's a degenerative retinal disease, and
Are you saying you have macular degeneration?
I'm sorry?
Did you say you're suffering from macular degeneration? Is that what you said?
It's similar. It's retinitis pigmentosa. It starts with the outside and works its way in.
I understand. Have you read any of the literature on natural healing and macular degeneration?
Yes, there's quite a bit.
Have you seen anything on the compounds in bilberry?
Quite a few of many of the antioxidants are really good to take.
Yeah, no, I'm glad. No, at least you looked into it because I, at one point in my life, was fascinated by this whole subject. I had a doctor who had doctor friend whose mother was 89, who had been slowly losing her eyesight with macular degeneration, and I discussed with him the powers of the antioxidants in bilberry in particular, especially in the capsule version, not just eating blueberries. And her macular degeneration was reversed within a short period of time. Now, I'm not giving you medical advice. If you already know about it, you've obviously tried it and it didn't work.
Oh, sure. There's that and L-arginine. There's so many out there now that you get overwhelmed.
But wait, I didn't say L-arginine. I specifically said the bilberry, the extract of bilberry. Are you at all knowledgeable about that, Philip?
Oh, yes, I do take the bilberry extract. But
okay. All right. I just want to go through that. That's something only if you were a friend I would throw it out there. Okay, we rule it out. So, but you're saying personal advice, meaning how do you cope with such a situation? If I were your uncle, what would I advise you to do? You're an aspiring comedian and writer, correct?
Correct.
All right. You want me to tell you what I would do if you're capable of it?
Sure.
Because this is going right into the heart of the monster. This is grabbing the most horrendous part of your life and throwing yourself right into it and strangling it. You want to hear what I would do if I were a comedian or aspiring comedian? I'd make jokes about my blindness.
Oh, I do. Believe me, if I don't laugh.
No, I mean, I'd write blind jokes, and I would get up on the stage and make the audience laugh at me. And then they'd be embarrassed for themselves. You could do a lot with that. You can manipulate an audience pretty good with that act.
No, most definitely. And believe me, I have most of that. Most of my material comes from that, and the marriage and the struggles in life. You have to make comedy, otherwise you just laugh.
Right. Okay. So, yeah, you can take the Hannah Youngman material and update it, that kind of thing, about the wife. Take my wife, please, that kind of thing. But, it's not funny with you, though, because you're not a healthy guy who can just walk away from it and say, screw it, I don't care. You're actually suffering because you have a disability, so it's a different situation.
But fortunately, I have a great pension and disability pension, so financially, I'm okay. It's just that I want to do something. Now it's like I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I'm 46, and I can go back to school. I was thinking about getting a master's in religion. I became a Christian last summer, and that pulled me through a lot of the gray areas.
So there's your answer. You told me the answer. Forget everything else. If you found salvation through religious studies, why look any further? You're a very lucky man. You're one of very, very few people who can still even look to religion for an answer.
Oh, definitely. It found me. He found me. And
You know, Philip, let me tell you something about my own life. If I really could find salvation in any religion, I would have found it a long time ago. I'm too cynical for it. I mean, I believe in God and the hereafter personally, but I can't get into the whole holy roller thing. I've been in churches, temples. I've tried it all, up and down, you name it. Buddhism. I haven't never become a Buddhist. I've read it all. I'm not touched by any of it. I realize the teachings are poetically truthful and spiritually informative, but the reality of it is I can't really feel it in that regard. And if you really feel that religion, then that's the only thing for you to follow.
I grew up. I was bar mitzvahed at 13, and my mother was Catholic, so I really didn't follow that. My father was Jewish, and then my kids were raised Catholic and went through the First Communion and confirmations, and neither the temple nor the Catholic Church really hit a note with me. And last year, just something within a local Christian church and a pastor I met really pulled me out of the darkness. But I think it's more that I have that personal relationship with God, not necessarily going to church. And
so, but what sect of religion is it that finally gripped you? When you say a pastor, what is that? Evangelicalism?
Evangelical pastor. I met with him. Actually, it's funny. I listened to a radio station and I called in for a referral, and they told me to look at some website like findachurch.com. I couldn't believe it. And
well, that's the thing is it's personal. In other words, don't worry what anyone says to you. If you found it, you found it. All roads that lead to God are good roads as far as I'm concerned.
No,
and so it does. See, I once said this, and I got roundly slammed on radio 10 years ago, but I really believe it. I called it a spiritual wheel, and I said, God, think of it, God as the center, the hub of a wheel, and then think of the spokes on a wheel, and different religions are different spokes that lead to God.
Sure.
That's how I see it, and I was roundly condemned by people who say that I'm wrong, that there's only one way to God. And they were evangelicals who criticized me. I had Jerry Falwell on the show while he was still living. God bless him. He was a great man. But he absolutely disagreed with me. He said there's only one salvation, one way to God, and everyone else is condemned to hell, which I don't accept. I can't accept that that billions of people, some of whom must be pretty good, I would think of the billions of people who are not evangelicals, I would say, let's say tens of millions of them must be great people. You can't tell me they're all going to go to hell because they didn't follow, a specific way to get to God. So I don't care if you're a Native American who practice a Native American religious belief and chant in an ancient tongue, or a Hindustani. What does it matter if you're following a decent life and you know God? What does it matter what you follow?
No, I agree. Living the straight and narrow, well, not necessarily straight and narrow, but doing the best that I can. I find some.
Well, you see, you get me started on this. I could talk about this for the next hour, but I don't believe God wants us only on the straight and narrow. You see, man is a complex being. Man is not a two-dimensional, a cardboard cutout without passions and without emotions. And the fact is that you have to come to understand that your evil impulses that we all have, all of us are driven by evil impulses and good impulses. The evil impulses are the other side of the good impulses. And without the evil impulses, there are no good impulses. We'd be dead. As a spiritual man taught me many years ago, the evil impulses, the man who has the greatest evil impulses is the man who can do the greatest good on the earth, if he can channel them and grab a hold of them. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
Listen to what I just said. It's very important for you and everyone else. The man who is plagued by great passions to do what he thinks are bad things has the greatest capacity to do the greatest good on earth, because that's a life force that, if channeled properly, can do great good. The man who has no passions can do very little on earth because he doesn't have the energy or the passion to do anything good or anything bad. Now, I don't know if I think you helped me rather than I helped you tonight, Philip.
Oh, you're awesome. And I must confess, I love your Teddy stories. I have a little Bijan, Enzo, who's my best friend. And
well, I'm going to send you a copy of Train Tracks, because there's a beautiful picture of Teddy and I in 2008 looking dejected, sitting on the edge of a couch. It's entitled The Night We All Lost. It was a night that Obama won his first regime. I'll be right back.
Appreciate it.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE.